Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new paper crafting video. Today I am doing a process video for Craft Roulette episode 278. I made a card based on their parameters from this past week's challenge, which the special guest was my friend Lauren Taylor, so I had to play along, and you can see the parameters there on the screen. It had to be a thank you card. It had to feature some element of shop or shopping. It had to have the colors from a bakery, and it had to have ombre on it. So I'm using this candy jar stamp die set, masking, and stencil set combination from the latest release at Trinity Stamps to create my card today. I die cut a bunch of the frame pieces from some lightweight chipboard, which was previously packaging. So I'm like reusing what is going to just be recycled. So I'm using it on my card. I am also going to use that same frame die to die cut out this stamped candy jar. That's going to give me the opening in the stamped image to turn it into a shaker. So cool, right? All right, so if you have not watched Craft Roulette before, it is a live paper crafting community challenge show, and they spin a wheel and you get different parameters that you have to create a card by, or you can choose to create a card by. You can turn your card in. They have sponsors, they give away prizes. It's a really fun community, and I recently went to their very first live event called Paperganza. It was so much fun. I'm going to be doing a recap video on that. I actually had so much stuff I couldn't fit it in my suitcase, so I mailed a box home to myself, and it should be here today. So I'll be doing a video on that once that arrives. Okay, I've put all my stuff aside for my candy jar, and now I'm creating a frame. So I have a 5x7 piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to create a 1/2 inch frame. So what I'm doing is lining my paper up so that it looks like I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch, but actually I am not dropping in, or I'm not cutting it off. I'm dropping in my blade 1/2 inch from the edge, and I can use the ruler on that cutting arm where my blade is to help me know when to start and when to stop, so that I only cut a 1/2 inch border. Does that make sense? You can see me doing it there. I hope it does. I love to do this for shaker cards themselves, but this is not the part of my card that's going to be a shaker. So I'm going to snip off the little part that I didn't overlap, and then I cut some 1/2 inch strips so that I could create a window frame. This is the part of my card that's going to be the shop. So I'm going to have it's going to be like a candy shop, like my little candy jar is sitting in the window. So I'm going to use some Lost Shadow ink and this super cool shading Sidekick brush, also from Trinity Stamps' latest release. I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for this brush. It's so fluffy and soft. I absolutely love it. I'll be doing a video just on that soon as well. Okay, so here's my frame. I flipped it over after I did the shading on it just to give it a little dimension. I also did shading on these straight pieces, and I'm using my glass mat, which is from Glassboard Studio, to line this up so I can have it perfectly down the middle on, going from both directions, because I can follow my grid mat. I've got things magneted down. It was so easy to do. The grid mat itself has those little brackets that you can easily line up, an A2, a 5x7, a slimline, like all different sizes, vertically, horizontally. It's so helpful. So there's my window frame. Now I have a solid piece of cardstock that's going to go behind. I'm going to make it look like the outside by adding some clouds. So this is the cloudy stencil from Trinity Stamps, and I'm using their larger sized blending brush, which is called a Blending Buddy brush. It's also nice and fluffy, but it's a rounded brush, not a flat brush, which is I think the biggest thing I like about both of their brushes. There's one other thing, which is the handle on this guy that I absolutely love. But I keep this brush right here just for tumbled glass ink because I like making cloudy skies. So it is perfect. And I like having one dedicated for that because I use it a lot. So I'm just flipping my stencil around using different sides of it. And because this is a longer stencil, I can move that stencil back and forth if I have to use that same row, but get a different look because I've shifted it. Okay, so let's put together all these crazy frames that I had previously die cut. I'm putting a solid piece on the back of the stamped one that is a window sheet. This is going to allow me to create a shaker. Now, this is a little bit bigger than the frame. I used the solid die from the set. I didn't realize it wasn't the same size, but I decided to go with it anyway because it would be a lot harder for me to try to cut out a piece that perfectly fit on there. And I thought this is supposed to be a glass jar anyway, so I don't know. Tell me your thoughts about that. Should I have tried to, trim out a piece that just fits the opening? I don't know, maybe, but it's my first time making a shaker with this jar, so I thought I'd give it a go, see if I liked it or not. Okay, so now I'm gluing the second window sheet on the back panel. Then I am gluing together all of the extra frames from the chipboard. That goes on the back of the front jar. That gives me a nice thick reservoir to put some shaker bits, and I found this mix in my stash that has a bunch of like candy pieces, and I just thought it was really cute, really went with my card. My colors, the colors are supposed to be inspired by a bakery. So I chose those colors to be a light pink, a light blue, and a touch of yellow. So this mix had that in it, which I thought was fabulous. So here I'm gluing on the back side, which also has the window sheet on the back, so that this candy jar is completely see-through, so you can actually see through to the window. Okay, now we're going to add an ombre element. So I have my shading Sidekick brush here. I'm picking up some Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to just create a little bit of an ombre panel here that I'm going to die cut something from. This was just a little bit easier to me to try to do ombre on the white paper before I die cut it, but I kind of get that I wasted a little bit of paper, but you should see my pile of scrap white cardstock. It might be out of control. How about you? Do you have a lot of scrap white cardstock? Because I really do. Okay, I wanted this to have just a little bit more of an ombre feel, so I brought in some picked raspberry for a darker shade of pink to dust up the very edge, and I'm loving this now. It's so good. All right, so I'm going to die cut out the shadow layer for my sentiment. This is going to say sweet on it. It's part of the new stamp and die set from Trinity Stamps that is simply Sentimental Sweet. So their release just came out. I am still playing with all their goodies. I love this set. Plus, their Simply Sentimental line has to be my favorite for sentiments of all time. So this is the Simply Sentimental Sweet die set. So this is a completely standalone die set. You can die cut the word sweet, sweeter, sweetest, and sweetie from the set in all different fonts. So I die cut this from some lightweight chipboard like I did for my candy jar, and the back of this lightweight chipboard is brown, and I felt like it gave it just a little bit of a darker edge that helps you be able to see the white a little bit better. So I was happy with that. Okay, now I am adding on a little strip at the bottom that's supposed to be like the counter, and it's like this satin paper. I got it from 12 by 12 scrapbook, no, 12 by 12 cardstock shop. I knew I'd get it in a minute. So I did that. I actually did two pieces. I felt like it was just a little bit too thin, so this second one is just a hair thicker, and then having it be 2 layers helps it like stand up off the card just a tiny bit. Okay, now this is the Simply Sentimental Sweet set. It has all the same words that spell out sweet that you can also die cut with the shadow layers, but it also has some supporting sentiments. So I'm going to stamp, or at least I think I am stamping, thank you, friend, and I'm going to put sweet in the middle. And I'm using my very favorite black ink, the Dare to Be Artsy Totally Black, I think it's called. This is my third pad of theirs. I love this black ink so much. Now, you may notice something here that I didn't notice until I was editing pictures for this video. Do you see what that says? Not what I think it says. I'll get to that. We'll fix it In a minute. Okay, we'll get to it. All right, so now I'm adding my candy jar down. Darn it, I dropped it. So I had a little bit of glue there. I had to wipe away. Oh, these things happen though, right? You just got to keep going. It'll be fine. I'm using my B0.2 marker from Olo to add a little bit of like shading to my jar. Now, I mentioned at the top of this video, there are coloring stencils for this set. I am going to use them. I'm going to show them to you. And when you have your whole jar, you can easily do this. But you know how the stencil helped me, even though mine's all the way die cut out? It helped me kind of know where to put the shading. And I loved that. And I think it really brings the jar to life. Yeah, so good. Okay, so now we have fun. We're going to add to our card. Yes, we're going to put some extra lollipops there. I picked these spiral ones because of my elements in my shaker have spiral candies, so I thought these would be perfect. So I'm stamping these with black ink. I'm going to do 2 of each of these suckers or lollipops, and then I'm going to color them, but I'm going to use the coloring stencils. Okay, so there are 2 layers to each of these suckers that you can do so that you can have a multicolored sucker. You can even stencil the stick. So I just brought back my Lost Shadow Shading Sidekick brush, added whatever was on the brush to just give it a little bit of a shadow. All right, so I'm doing pink there, and I just used the pink that was still on my brush and didn't add any more. Now, you know how to line up your stencil there because it has some etched lines. So that made it really easy. I'm very slow about this. Like, I really want to make sure that I've got things lined up well. For my yellow, I chose to do a little bit of squeezed lemonade. I tried not to get it too dark because I wanted it to have that kind of soft feel to it like the other 2 colors did. And I love this. It's super cute. I think it's probably like strawberry banana, don't you think? That'd be a good flavor for that one. Yeah, I don't know. Can you think of something else? Yellow and pink. I'm not sure. All right, so I decided to do the other lollipop with pink and blue. So I'm using the color that's on my brush, and I will add more if I feel like I need to. I just brought in that bigger brush because I still had ink on it, and that's all. So there we have it. Then there are coordinating dies to die cut these out. But I tell you, it is so much fun to use those coloring stencils. Like once I start, I just want to keep doing it. It's so cute. It really gives it an airbrushed soft feel, and I love it. All right, to add these to my card, I needed a double layer of foam tape to match the height of my jar. And I'm just going to kind of add these on so they look like they're kind of spilled out on the counter. And so this one popsicle is going to be partway on popsicle. It's a lollipop. It's a sucker. And then I'll add my second one there. And I actually felt like 4 was too many. I needed an odd number. So I decided to save that 4th one, and I'll put it on the inside of my card for a little something fun in there. I added a little tiny cut strip of foam tape to the, is it a handle? It's a stick. Yeah. And then that part was done, and now I'm adding on some jelly beans. These are like very 3D jelly beans from Trinity Stamps. Man, they just have everything in that shop. I mean, if you're looking for an embellishment, check it out. They have over 600 embellishments in the shop. Now, if you were at Paper Ganza, you saw a very small selection of these embellishments, right? So this is another one of their fabulous embellishments. I've used these before on a card, and I really love them. If you do 3D projects, this is a great little embellishment to add to your 3D projects. I love doing 3Ds, like mini albums, little boxes. I love that kind of thing. So these are cool for that too. All right, I am sharing with you very slowly how I tie my bows. When I do this, I'm going to keep it very loose to start with, very loosey-goosey. I'm going to hold the knot and adjust those little bows there, the circular part of the bow, and then I'll pull it tight. If I want to adjust it again, I'm going to hold that knot as I do it so it doesn't twist up on itself. So there's some tips for tying a bow. That's for Amy, who sat at my table at Paper Ganza. Go Team Rainbow. And she wanted me to tie her bow, and she wanted to see me do it slowly. So that's for you, Amy, if you're watching. All right, so there's my card front. It's a 5x7, like I mentioned before. So it's going on an A2 size card base, which is a 10-inch piece of paper by 7 inches, scored at 5 inches, and that creates your A7 card. All right, so I wanted to show you my Craft Roulette companion book. I did sketch this out as I'm watching the episode. I write down my ideas, and then I can add notes as I think of them and use it to create my card, which I left part of it blank because I knew I wanted some extra candy on this card, but I wasn't sure which. And by the way, this is my 10th Craft Roulette card. Man, some of these ladies are at 200 plus. Wow. Wow, and gentlemen. There are some gentlemen crafters on Craft Roulette as well. One of them is my friend, Sire, and Doug Conley, who I met at Paperganza, and John, Cool Johnny. I met him at Paperganza. So there's some guys out there making cards. There's probably more that I could mention as well. But man, what a fun community of people it is. If you haven't checked it out, you've got to do it. Craft Roulette on YouTube. Every Friday night they are live around 5:30 Mountain Standard Time. So there's my little fix for Than You, sweet friend. Than You, sweet friend. What does that even mean? I need to get some glasses. It's decided. I'm doing it. Next time you see me, they won't just be readers. Thank you so much for watching, sweet friends. I appreciate you so much. Leave me a comment. I love to chat with you, and be sure to check out Craft Roulette this Friday. My other friend, Crafty Al, she's going to be the guest on the next episode, and I'll be there. So come watch. I'll see you then. Happy stamping. Bye.